Hello everybody, I hope you are all well. If you're new to my channel, welcome. My name's Diane and I design and make patchwork quilts. And every now and again, weekly, if all goes well, I make a recording of everything that's happened in my sewing room. This wasn't my planned day for recording. I just grabbed a quick cup of coffee, but I've suddenly got the house to myself, and so I thought I'll make this week's video now. As you can see, we're very informal, very chatty, very friendly, and if that's something you'd like to join in with, please do. So quilting, chatting, coffee, anything else you like really. So July in the quilting world, it's an odd time really, isn't it? When you look at other YouTubers who are into quilting, there's a lot of Christmas in July going on. I'm not going to make a Christmas quilt, I don't think. I don't think I'll have time. I have got a Christmas quilt that I'd like to finish. I've made the top. That was a scrappy one, and I'd like to finish that if I could. I have another two quilts, a blue batik and an improv quilt. Those are both tops. I'd like to get them finished if I can. Depends on the weather. Today it's only 13 degrees. So my intention today was to complete this Project Linus quilt. Put the backing, I'm doing a pieced backing and put the batting in and quilt it. Like I say, I had the house to myself, and so my plans have altered a little bit. I might still get this done today. I hope to anyway. And then if I do, at the end of this video, I will show you the completed quilt. So, I also had a request while I was away, and it was over 30 degrees, to make or design a snowflake quilt. And I've done that. I made the design. I was making that, and then it suddenly occurred to me that snowflakes only have 6 arms, and I made one with 8. It's beautiful, but it's not really a snowflake. So I have worked out the dimensions to do a 6-sided one, so I will do that at some point. I'll share that with you, but I don't think I'll get that done in July. And I've also done all the paperwork and booked my tickets, got everything I need for the Festival of Quilts, which runs for a few days from the 4th of August at the NEC in the centre of the UK. And I shall be there on the Thursday and the Sunday. So if any of you want to say hello, please do. I'm quite friendly, a bit scatty. I try and tone it down for these videos. In real life, you'll see the real thing. My viewers might drop if you meet me, but anyway, nonsense. I will be there, and if you want to say hello, please do. Getting back to this quilt, last week's video I made a design wall. It's an experiment. I'm not sure how long it's going to last. It's working great for me. I haven't got very much floor space in here, so anytime I wanted to make anything of a decent size, I had to go into the living room and use the floor there. And if you saw the improv quilt, it was down for a few days. So I think that really tipped me over the edge to make this design wall, and so far it's fine. It's really helped, especially with a quilt like this, which was totally scrappy, and I wanted to mess around with colours and move blocks around, and I could just put an odd pin in here and there, and it worked fine. So I'm really happy so far, but if it falls apart, I will tell you. So you know, it is an experiment, and so there's only learning possibilities in experiments, isn't there? It doesn't matter if things go wrong, it's just knowledge. And so all I've used is 2080 batting on the wall. And so far so good. And the reason I started the month off making this Project Linus quilt is because after I'd finished making the design wall, I wanted to just put some blocks on, and I did have a few of these hourglass blocks put together, so I tried with that. And while it was out, I thought I may as well finish it, and so that's what I did. In July, I don't want to buy any more fabric. Like I say, I am going to the Festival of Quilts and I'm saving my money for there. I will probably need to buy some, well, I will definitely need to buy some backing and batting to complete the quilts I've just mentioned, but I'm not going to buy any more fabric for new quilts. And if possible, I will piece together some of the fabric that I have in my store to make the backing for those quilts, if it's appropriate. And so to make this quilt, what I did was every time I finish a project and I've got half square triangles left over, I put them in a box, and I had white and a colour in one part and then all mixed colours together. So what I've decided to do is anything that's got black in, I'm leaving in the box for another project. So the idea that I've got for saving these black and coloured shapes at the moment, part blocks, isn't properly formed, because I've got the idea that I'd like to do something quite wacky, all different sorts of blocks put together. I haven't thought it through yet, but the design wall will be brilliant for that. So I'm thinking lots and lots of bright colours and using black or greys to tone it down, and all different shape blocks and size blocks, and just sew them all together. So that's the sort of plan. Like I say, it's not formed yet and I don't have enough of those part blocks yet, but I might make some in preparation for it when I'm looking at the fabric that I want to use in my stash. And now I'm just going to sort out all of these half square triangles into matching pairs, and I've sorted these so far. All of this selection here, and there are multiples on some of these, have both sides of the half square triangle are the same. So those two are red on that side and orange on that side, and so all of those work like that. Well, I've sorted now all of the half square triangles, and I just need to make some red and orange half square triangles just to fit on the one side so that I can square up that central panel. Well, I'm using the design wall and it's very useful. I have found that it holds the 3-inch half square triangles fine. I was able to put 2 rows of that down on the left hand side, and now when I've joined those together into the hourglass blocks, so it's 2 by 2 blocks, they don't want to stick. I haven't ironed them, but they don't want to stick on their own, so I've just put one single little pin in and they're staying up. So you can see I'm just holding it with that one pin, and I'm perfectly happy with that. So if you look here, that's one of the blocks that I had trouble putting onto this batting, but I've ironed that. I've put the Project Linus label onto that, so, and that's sticking fine now. So probably what the problem is the seams not being flat. Once they're pressed, they are sticking to this batting okay. So I don't tend to iron as I go smaller blocks. I wait until there's quite a chunk, and then I'll iron those, especially if they're on the bias, because I don't want them stretching. So like I say, a pin here and there, I'm happy to work like that. So what I think I'm going to do now is to surround this central block with all of these brightly coloured half square triangles. So if you are new to my channel, I've set myself a goal to try and make one Project Linus quilt a month at least. And the last time I delivered some of the quilts to our sector, they requested some teenage quilts, and so this is why I made the central part square. I didn't have enough to do the whole of the quilt in a white and a colour, so that's why I put the border around. But I think for a teenager, a quilt that is square might go around the shoulders a little bit better, and so that's why I extended that inner panel. So I'm going to start on that left hand side, and I'm going to put blocks together like I just did with those hourglass shapes, and so I'll see how far I get. So the design wall is working okay. I'm really pleased with it. It gives me a good chance to see how these half square triangles will work together. So there's a good placement of different colours all the way around. As you can see, I've sewn the bottom strip on of the brightly coloured half square triangles, and the left hand panel is complete. And so what I've done here is I've just taken out a half square triangle and matched that with a half square triangle colour if I had one, and now I'm just going to go back and fill in all the gaps. Well, that's been really satisfying. I just have the right hand panel to put together, and I've used all of the half square triangles, so they're all gone. So I've sewn all the borders on, and it now measures 38.5 inches square. That does meet the minimum requirement for my Project Linus sector, but I think I'd quite like to make it a little bit bigger if it's going to be for a teenager. I have no half square triangles left, so I'm going to have a look and see what else I have in my stash. Well, these are all of the 4 3/4 inch squares that I have left in my stash that I've set aside for Project Linus. I could make more if I needed to, but first of all I think I'll have a look and see what I can use from this pile. So I calculate I'm going to need 60 of these squares. So I'm going to take out all of the very young child patterns. I'll use those in another project. I've put together 30 contrasting pairs of squares, and so I'll join these together now. Well, I made a slight miscalculation. I needed 68 4 3/4 inch squares to make all of those half square triangles. I forgot the cornerstones, so there was another 2 for each corner, but I soon found that out when I was putting the blocks on the wall, and it wasn't a major issue. I just made some more half square triangle blocks. These are all of the half square triangles that I've put together, so there's a good range, and there's light and dark, and so now I'm going to put them into 4 blocks into some sort of hourglass shape, and I'll show you how I get on there. Well, at the moment I have just completed all of the blocks to go on the outside, and I've pinned them lightly to the design wall, and I'm just moving blocks around now and trying to make hourglass shapes where I can. It's not easy because it is totally scrappy, but I shall just play about moving some of these around and then sew them together. Well, I've joined everything together now, and I've put some stay stitching around the edge, and it now measures 48.5 inches or 123 centimetres square. So I think that would be lovely for a teenager. And like I say, I was just in the process of piecing a back to go on to that, and I will need to piece the batting as well. So I'm going to do that now, and hopefully I will include some footage at the end of this video of everything finished, and then it will be ready to go off to Project Linus. So that's the sort of thing that I do on this channel. So if you've enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up if you want to, or a like, or a comment, anything. If you don't, well, I'm not surprised. But there's plenty of other things out there that's more professional, that might be your cup of tea. So thank you for your company if you're still with me, and please take really good care of yourselves, and I'll see you next week with some more quilty chat. Bye. Well, I finished it. It's a little bit nippy on this July summer's day. So it's really lovely and soft, and I think it'll be perfect for a teenager, for a hug. So all done. And then a pieced back with the label. So all I need to do now is to get this washed and sent off to Project Linus. Thanks for watching. Bye. Oh, I've got to stay here. Have a little cuddle in the garden. Wait for the sun to come.